Breadcast, the Breadcast. Flour and crumbs and crust. So much crust. Breadcast, the Breadcast. Yum, 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 yum.
Okay, welcome to the Breadcast. I'm your host, Joe Saunders. I keep doing that every time. I don't know why. Anyway, hello, listeners. It's good to be back. And this is actually the beginning of a brand new Breadcast trilogy. I know we've been off for a few months. We had the holiday special back in December, but we're back now. And this new Breadcast trilogy, I'm calling the Breadcast Prequel trilogy. And similar to the Star Wars prequels or Peter Jackson's Hobbit film trilogy, this is going to be a prequel trilogy to the original Breadcast trilogy. So what does that mean? To be honest, I don't know. But I think it means that we're going to be getting back to our roots. Much like how director Baz Luhrmann got back to his roots after he completed the Red Curtain trilogy and he directed a critically acclaimed Broadway production of Puccini's La Boheme. So I guess the question is, will this be the baking podcast version of La Boheme? We'll see. One thing is for sure, though. Much like the first entry in the Hobbit trilogy, this will be an unexpected journey. But instead of heading to a mountain full of gold, we'll be looking for a fresh baked bread. Okay, well, let's get started. Let me introduce my guest, Diona Reasonover. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome to the Breadcast.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
So, Diona, do you like bread?
I love bread. I love bread. A little Oprah shout out.
Yeah, that's, hey, great. It's a great Oprah quote, great Oprah gif.
Yeah,
it's great. What kind of bread do you enjoy?
I was actually just talking to my Lyft driver about this yesterday.
Okay.
We got into a little discussion because he was from the East Coast, and I asked him what his favorite kind of bread was, and then I said, let me guess, it's rye. And I was right.
Whoa, where on the East Coast was he from?
He was from outside of Boston.
How were you able to guess rye for that?
I feel like rye is such an East Coast bread because it's like regular bread, but with a thing that's a little bit difficult to eat in it. So
Yes.
that reminds me of the East Coast.
Oh, interesting. Now, do you bake? Have you ever baked bread before?
I love baking. Yes, my dad used to really love baking. He passed away, but he had a roll recipe that he would make every year, and for Thanksgiving. And for Thanksgiving, the first year I was with Patricia, I made that recipe for her. But it was 60 rolls just for me and her. So.
All right, so those are those like dinner rolls or
Yeah.
what? Ooh, those sound good. I've been wanting to make those.
I will give you the recipe.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be the next episode.
Maybe, buddy. I'll be honest. I really wanted to make them for you today. I didn't.
Okay. Are dinner rolls like hard to make? Like, or is it easy to make? Where does it fall? And do you bake a lot? Do you have experience doing it, or was it?
Well, give me an example of a hard thing to make and an easy thing to make.
Well, an easy thing I think of as like banana bread. Mm-hmm. That is like kind of more of a dessert cake type thing. And a hard bread to bake, I think, is like a sourdough or any really kind of sophisticated yeast bread. Any other kind of yeast bread.
I'm going to say it falls right smack dab in the freaking middle, man.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, it does, because you know what? It's easy to me because it's very hands off, but I guess it's hard in the fact that it takes a lot of time, but you don't have to have like a starter unless they're sourdough rolls.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Do you need a special, I'm going to keep asking questions about this. Do you need a special tray?
No.
You just have what kind of tray do you use?
You are probably already equipped to make dinner rolls right now, just like a cookie sheet.
A cookie sheet?
Heck yeah. Am I selling you on this?
You are, okay.
Give you the old selling yell?
Do you need ledges on the cookie sheet?
Ledges?
Do you need ledges? Or can the bread, I feel like I think of roll. I don't know. I guess not.
You think it's going to just roll off into the bottom of the oven?
That's what I kind of think of. Do you need a ledge there, or does the dough go over?
Or is it a suicidal bread that just is like, I can't take it?
I guess so. I feel like you got to keep that bread contained. You got to keep that dough contained. But maybe I'm wrong about this.
It doesn't expand that. Well, you've already done the rise. You've done usually like 2 rises.
Yeah.
So similar to sourdough, you rise it once, punch it down, let it rise again in its shaped form, and then pop it right in the oven.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah. You can't see this, but Joe is also kind of like stroking where a beard would be if he had one. So he's really,
exactly where.
So he's really contemplating this.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess we should get to our bread we're gonna try.
I don't know. We can keep talking about rolls.
We probably should.
I'm gonna tell your listeners. I'm a big Breadcast. I guess I'm a breadhead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Wow. We haven't had a fan term yet.
Oh yeah.
This is exciting. Like I said, it's been a few months since our last Breadcast episode, the holiday special, which, just FYI for anyone listening at home, is not a canon episode of the Breadcast because, Santa Claus came up, and Santa Claus that exists outside the normal canon of the show.
Sure.
Okay. But in that time, I have, spent some time, doing more baking since then, even though we haven't been recording episodes, like trying to just develop better skills in the kitchen. And, now that we're coming back to do this new Breadcast trilogy, I was like, well, I'm really going to go for it. I'm going to try something really ambitious, something I've never made before. And so the bread I made this week.
Oh, is it just a pile of yeast? Since
it is just pretty close.
Oh, yeah.
It's pumpernickel bread.
Oh, my gosh.
And let's take a look at it.
Oh.
It turned out, hold on one second. It turned out very badly.
No.
This is a disaster.
No.
This is a disaster if you listen to the second episode where the white bread was ruined, this is up there. Might be worse than the white. This is maybe a little bit better than the white bread.
You're being too hard on yourself.
This is, wait till we try it, and it's horrible.
No. It's, you know what? Let me tell you something. I remember the white bread, the misshapen potato. That's how much I told you I'm a real breadhead. I know what's going on. I'm here. This is not that. I think it looks good. It rose.
It did rise. Well, this is, I guess we should cut into it. Let's cut into it. And I think as soon as we start cutting into it, you'll see the issue with it.
But it's got a nice crust. I see.
It does. It is about, I would say it's about it's kind of the size of slightly larger than a mini volleyball.
Sorry, what?
I don't know. That was what we were talking about in the last episode. About, I don't know. It's kind of a little bit smaller than like a soccer ball or basketball in terms of diameter, but it's maybe about 3.5 inches tall, like kind of like slightly domed. Mm-hmm. It's light brown. It should be dark brown.
Are you comparing it to commercial pumpernickel though? Because I just learned, this is when I was talking to my Lyft driver. I never have had pumpernickel, so I have nothing to compare this to. But commercial pumpernickel uses a little bit of molasses to make it color, to make it darker.
Oh, interesting. You know what? I looked at recipes that had the that's told to use molasses, and I didn't end up using one of those recipes.
You did?
I did not.
Yeah, good. See?
I did not use recipes. I did not use molasses, even though I was like, I think I should. Well, anyway, let me cut into this, and we'll see. This is very bad.
No.
Okay. Here we go.
This is a true pump. This is a true pumpernickel.
I'm going to cut it right into the middle of this. I'm going to be honest. This came out of the oven the other night, and I almost canceled the record today.
I'm so glad you didn't.
Well, I thought about it. This is, okay, so we've cut into the middle of it. We're looking into it. Diona, how would you describe this?
It's a little bit dry, but still somehow wet.
Oh boy, I think you're right. It is. It's got kind of a weird, wet, dry quality to it. It's kind of neither, but both. Mm-hmm. I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's that it maybe didn't finish fully baking. It was in there for an hour.
Okay, hold on. First, wait. Let me just set this up. So I think if you just model this, I've been spending a lot of time on Instagram.
Interesting.
I think if you just model this a little bit, I think it's still got potential. Because here's what I will say: you got some nice browning on the bottom.
Yes, the bottom is pretty toasted. It is very brown and toasted.
So I think that's going to have a nice texture.
That's what it looks like. Oh.
See, look at that. Hold on. No. Oops, sorry. You can't. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but I did a little knock.
You're knocking on the bottom of the bread right now.
It's got a little bit of a hollow. That's nice. That's a good sign.
When I pulled it out of the oven and I tapped on it, I was like, okay, I think this might be okay. Mm-hmm. But yeah, cutting into it. I guess we should maybe cut off little bits of it and give it a little taste.
Let's
if that's
do
okay.
It. Is there honey in this?
There's not honey, but there's chocolate.
Chocolate?
Cocoa, actually.
Chocolate. Well, that is exciting.
Here, I'm just going to kind of... These are small, and I have, if anyone wants, I have some Earth Balance.
I'm never going to forget this moment of you sort of like half-heartedly cutting in your bread and yelling, I have some earth balance.
I've cut us off some pieces for us to try. It is very dense. It's very heavy. Even just a small little piece of this, it hurts to pick up. It's so heavy. It's like a weight. But let me talk a little bit about what all went into this. I got this I wanted to do pumpernickel because pumpernickel felt like a big challenge to do. And so I kind of looked around at a few different recipes, and like any bread, you will find multiple recipes that are all very different from each other. But I went with the old tried and true, the Book of Bread, that we used in some other episodes. This was the white bread book. This is the book my mom gave me that she said she used, but then later revealed she hadn't really used that much. And I found that they had a very simple recipe in here for pumpernickel bread. Ingredients for this are pretty simple. It's just kind of combining the dry yeast, active dry yeast, a cup of warm water, a tablespoon of carob powder. Do you know what? I didn't know what carob powder was.
Oh, it's like not chocolate.
It's not chocolate.
Yeah.
But I use chocolate.
Yeah, that's better.
I was like, I kind of did a little Googling, and it seemed that they were related.
They are.
So, and I looked around a little at the grocery store and couldn't find it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'll just use cocoa.
Right.
So, yeah. 2 cups of yogurt. 2 tablespoons coarse salt, vegetable shortening, then 3 cups of pumpernickel flour. They also have an alternative. Instead, if you can't find pumpernickel flour, you can substitute 1 cup of bran mixed with 2 cups of rye flour.
Oh.
So I couldn't find pumpernickel flour. Yeah. But I found rye and bran, bran and rye flour.
I got questions.
Yeah.
Okay. What the hell? I don't actually know what pumpernickel is.
I don't know what pumpernickel is either. I should have looked this up.
Can we get a look-see on that?
Dave, can you do a little bit of research for us? I should have looked this up. I don't know. There's a little 1-sentence description at the very beginning of this recipe.
Let's get it.
Pumpernickel bread. Originally the coarsest of loaves, made with unbolted rye, pumpernickel is now stylishly popular, and a good dark loaf results from this recipe. This
is coarse. This bread is coarse.
It is coarse.
So you did get that part.
That's true. Yeah.
I think, can I posit something?
Yeah, of course.
I don't know the pH level of carob, but cocoa tends to be super acidic. So that might have affected your rise.
This is... Wow. That's really interesting. So you think the acidicness would have like kept it from rising, or because you messed with it, or
because you have yogurt in there, which is already pretty acidic, right?
Yeah.
So
I guess so.
sometimes it can affect things.
Wow,
pH levels. I don't know.
So also so I did this thing where I combined, instead of finding pumpernickel flour, I had bran mixed with 2 cups of rye flour, and then also used 2 cups of whole wheat flour, which I had, and then you use a couple cups of regular white unbleached flour. To kind of mix in as you're kneading. And so what happened was I mixed all this together. This is a pretty simple recipe. It was a matter of mixing. Dave, you were going back for another piece.
I was going to say, you're sitting up here, you're like criticizing it, but we have a second piecer.
What is going on over here?
I like what you made.
Oh, okay.
Do you want butter?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with that earth.
You're going to have the earth balance?
Little EB. Okay.
Oh, good. So the way this recipe was, it was just kind of a matter of like combining all of these ingredients, all these different flours and the shortening and the yeast and all this stuff. Got it all in. You make the dough and let me see here. And then you knead the dough. And this is where I ran into my first issue, the kneading of the dough. Because in the recipe, they say to knead by hand.
Right.
But I just got a new stand mixer. And I'm all about this stand mixer kneading. It does so much better than I do.
Oh, yeah.
And so my first thought was, I'm not going to knead by hand. I'm going to use the stand mixer.
It's different.
It's different.
It's so different.
And it was not working.
What? Why not?
Well, it was like kind of mixing it around, but like it wasn't kneading it because the dough was very wet.
Oh,
I think from the yogurt, because there's a bunch of yogurt in there. And,
right.
And so the dough was super wet. So I started adding and I'm using the stand mixer, and it's just not doing the thing that it normally does when it needs. It's just kind of mixing it.
So it was like a batter almost?
Yeah, it was kind of a batter, and it was kind of just like thunking it around. It was kind of like I had the hook attachment in the stand mixer, the bread hook, and it was just kind of like carving the inside of it out. It was very strange.
Oh, weird.
And I was like, oh, what is going on? And so I started. Now this says that. Let me read here what this recipe says. Start kneading. Start to knead. Adding more white flour is necessary. This will be a sticky dough and will absorb flour as you knead. 10 minutes will be enough, even if it is still a little sticky. So it was still. So I was like, well, maybe it's just sticky, and I started dumping in white flour.
Yeah.
And it was not getting better. And I was like, okay, well, maybe it's the stand mixer. Maybe I should be kneading by hand.
Right.
So I took it out. I made a whole floured surface. Took it out.
Okay.
Tried to start kneading it by hand. By this point, I don't even know how long. I'm like, this is already bad.
It's been days.
You
haven't left your apartment. You've grown a beard.
Or parts of a beard. So I tried to start kneading it by hand, and that went a little better. But still, it wasn't like the dough didn't feel like it was like kneading. Like I was doing that kind of test where you poke it.
What's the test? I don't know this.
Well, this is what I've found with sourdough. We've never covered sourdough on the Breadcast. That will maybe happen at some point. But when you get kind of a nice kneaded dough, you can kind of poke it and it'll bounce back. And so I was kind of looking for some similarities there. I don't think I was supposed to be the same, but I was like, this just seems like it's dough. Like it's like a big fat thing of dough.
Yeah.
And I started to panic.
No.
And I put it back in the stand mixer.
Oh, no, Joe. You mixed the life out of it.
I mixed it, and I put it back in the stand mixer. I was like, well, maybe we could just finish this off in there.
You know what?
Yeah.
But it's, okay, here's what I'll say. It still rose.
It did rise. Yeah.
So you didn't, so there's still something to it. I think we just got to try it.
Okay.
We've been doing a lot of talk
We've been doing
and
a lot
not
of
a lot
talking
of
about it. Let me...
I will tell you a story, which is that...
I just realized you guys hadn't tasted it.
Yeah.
I'm on my second.
Yeah, that's why we're like, I'm like, come on, we got to get to this. I was making Christmas cookies, and I was having a Christmas cookie party, and I was like, my plan was to make 5 dozen cookies, and my mixer broke. And so I had to get a stand mixer, and every cookie was a little bit ruined because baking with a stand mixer is very different.
It is very different.
I found out a little bit about Pumpernickel. I mean, I don't have a mic, but I'll yell it. It's German.
Okay.
Typically heavy, slightly sweet rye bread, traditionally made with sourdough starter and coarsely ground rye.
Sourdough starter?
What?
This is the wiki.
Maybe that's what the yogurt is
It's
for.
often made today with a combination of rye flour and whole rye berries. So it was traditionally at one point peasant fare, but largely during the 20th century, various forms became popular through delicatessens in supermarkets.
What do you think?
I think it's like really dry and kind of like weirdly tasteless, or it's got like
an after beer taste.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, like it's like, you know when you have like near beer and there's no alcohol in it? That's what it reminds me of.
Oh, wow.
I have an aunt that if she had a flavor, I think it would be this.
Wow.
Okay.
I don't mean that as bad as it sounds. I know how terrible that sounds, but I still stand by that statement.
Wow, okay. Yeah, it feels like there was some. I think I ended up putting too much flour in this. I think as I was kneading it, I panicked and I kept dumping flour into it to try to get the dough to be less sticky, and I ended up putting too much flour in it.
Let me tell you what I like about this.
Okay, yeah.
Let me start off here. I think it's got a good bake on it, and I can tell that by the bottom crust, and I can tell that by kind of the smell. You know what I mean? Like it's got a good like strong bready smell.
It does have a bready smell.
I think it's got some, even though there's too much flour, that it still has like kind of a nice crumb structure, as Paul Hollywood would say.
Oh, okay.
Because it's like the holes it's not completely closed off. It's not a completely tight crumb.
That's true.
But it's also not got like big gaping air holes to it.
Yeah.
And
the holes are very small.
from the description that David read, I feel like this sounds like what he read. Like about it being kind of like coarser and maybe like, no offense, peasant food. You know what I mean? So I'm
Right.
like, I think this is good.
When I don't even know what I had in mind. I feel like I had a certain thing in mind of eating pumpernickel bread somewhere. I don't even know. And I imagined it as like kind of like lighter. I don't know, maybe I was confusing. Lighter.
I thought you said white, and I was like, well, you don't know what pumpernickel bread is.
It's like a big white bread that you slice and make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches out of. I think like a lighter. I don't even know. I thought about going and buying like trying to track down like a real nice loaf of pumpernickel bread to compare this to, like something at a professional bakery.
But they use cheats.
They do use treats.
They use cheats. I mean, seriously, like molasses would really change the flavor of it, I think.
I think the molasses, I should have gone with that.
You could, I mean, just for color. But I think it's mainly people must use it for coloring. I was trying to think if this would make a good crostini, too, which it might if you slice it super duper thin.
Oh, that's...
Because it's a little drier, maybe I think it would crisp up nicely.
Yeah, that I can see that. That could be a good use for when you get like a really dense loaf like this.
Yeah.
To then use it to transform it into like stuff like that.
Yeah. Croutons.
Croutons?
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Have you ever made croutons before?
No.
Let me tell you something. I once made cornbread croutons, and they were so good.
Did you set out to make croutons, or did you make cornbread and then you had a little bit left over?
Made cornbread, had leftover cornbread. When does that ever happen? I just did. You know what I mean? I sauteed them in a little bit of butter and then dried them out in the oven. Yikes! That salad was not healthy and so good.
That sounds so good.
It really was.
So you just had the little bits and you threw them in with butter.
Yeah.
And,
I also have to tell you something, which is that I have a surprise for you.
What?
Which is that I brought you something.
What?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hold on a minute. What?
Oh, yeah. I did it. I went ahead and did it.
You went ahead. What does that mean?
I went ahead and did it. Let me tell you.
Okay.
Your eyes are dancing.
What is happening right? This has never happened on the Breadcast.
That's not true. Someone bought you some jam once.
That's true. Jane Becker did bring a little thing of jam.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the second time.
Well, this is small. This is small. This is a very small thing.
Okay.
This is very small.
Wow.
Will you hand me my bag? It's in my bag.
Yeah.
I didn't know what kind of bread we were going to end up with. So originally I was going to bake you something.
Oh.
But then I was like, I don't want to step on toes. You know, what if we end up making the same thing?
Oh my God, that would have been incredible.
So I made you something that was baked, but it's not edible. I did bake
baked
you something.
but not edible?
I made you, and it's very shitty. I just want to start off by saying it's very shitty. I made you a piece of pottery.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not.
Oh my God.
No, I'm not.
This is a surprise. This is like a surprise rise, but a pottery.
It's like a little pencil cup.
This is incredible.
It's not great, but yeah.
You made this?
I did. It's from my Bitch I'm a Cow series, which I named before I found out that Doja Cat was problematic.
So this is, oh look, and it's labeled on the bottom. Mm-hmm.
I made this part in 2018, but I glazed it for you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Is this a cup?
You can use it for whatever you want. I got too much pottery in my house.
Where do you make pottery at?
So I actually go to a friend's house who has like a kiln in her backyard, and she has like a bunch of wheels set up. But I was telling them before it started, I have social anxiety, and it's really turned into generalized anxiety. And so I'm like living my own ghost dreams right now. Like I'm just kind of like putting all my anxiety into cups. I'm not very good. That's the 18th piece I've made.
This looks really good. I think this looks amazing. This looks like something you would buy in a store.
Oh, you're too kind.
No, I think so. I would go into a store and be like, oh, this looks nice. And then look at the bottom and be like, oh, wow, it's really expensive.
No. If you want to, can I show you the first thing I ever made?
Please.
So,
okay, this is the very first thing I'm going to look at it.
Will you just describe it?
Well, it looks like it's kind of in the photo you're holding it, and it kind of looks like a. It looks like a potato.
No, it looks like a dick. Just be honest. It looks like a dick.
This is a very thick dick.
It looks like an old Greek ceramic dick.
It does.
Like,
Dave, take a look at this.
One big thick dick.
It has one big thick dick.
Yeah, this is not a regular dick size.
This is like archaeologists would have dug this up and been like, this is, I just want to say to the Nobel Peace Prize people, this is one big thick dick. Yeah, I that was not supposed. That was supposed to be a plate.
That was supposed to be a plate.
It was like, because when you're doing pottery, you do something called coning, where you take all the clay, and while the thing is spinning, you like kind of like push it up into like a little mountain shape, and then you push it back down,
Yes.
so that you can start like opening it and throwing it. But I was so nervous that I like literally just shore it off like in my hands, and I was like, what am I supposed to do with this clay dick? And I wanted to fire it, but my teacher wouldn't let me because she was afraid it would roll around in the kiln and break up all the other pieces.
Well, it looks incredible. Do you still have it?
No, I threw it away. I threw, because what was I supposed to do with a big wet clay dick?
Well, wow. What a progression there from that to this.
Yeah.
Is incredible.
Yeah, but I guess I could have put it in this. I could have just.
It is
stuck
about.
it in.
It does look like it could be a good clay dick holder.
Yeah, that's what I made you.
Oh, that's nice.
You're
Like,
welcome.
maybe I'll make my own clay dick and put it in there.
I sure hope so.
Well, this is incredible. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For making it. I'm very. Wow, this is incredible.
You know, I'm still eating this bread too.
I'm watching. I can't believe it. It does. I think when you put butter on it, we put some butter on it. Dave put some earth balance on it. It tastes. It does help it, and I think it would be interesting to toast it, or to figure out some other kind of like ways to repurpose the bread. And I think there are some options.
I think you are being too hard. I'm going to say it again.
so?
You're being too hard on yourself, because this is actually, it's not bad.
Really? I don't know. It's so different than what I imagined it would be like. Even though.
But what are you imagining?
I was imagining like something much softer. I know that we're reading the description. I was imagining something softer, something darker.
But
Something not as like this different. I guess I wasn't imagining pumpernickel. Maybe I wasn't imagining pumpernickel.
well, you know how when you get bread like at the grocery store and it comes in that bag, like a bag of like pre-sliced bread, and it's nothing like you would get from like a bakery or like La Brea Bakery. I think you're imagining that kind of pumpernickel.
I guess I am. Maybe. I don't know. It's hard to know.
You sat back so much to think about it.
I'm trying to avoid chewing directly. This is definitely a very chewy bread. You really got to like chew into this.
I was actively trying to chew into the mic for all the ASMR fans out there.
Oh, that's good. That might be a sizable portion of the audience.
It honestly could be. Think about how much like cooking shows involve somebody who's already wearing a mic just sitting and chewing for a few minutes. Like the chew. They literally chew for like a minute and just kind of go,
That's true. Yeah. Well, I guess okay, so we gotta rate this thing. I think there's nothing else to talk. It did rise the first time it rose, it really balanced. It did that first big rise where it doubled up in size, and I was like, okay, I think this is working.
Yeah.
And then it rose. I punched it down, molded it. It did an okay second rise, and then in the oven, nothing else seemed to happen after that besides it just kind of baking into that shape that it was.
what's our scale?
So we always change the scale in the Breadcast. What should we do this on? What should we be rating here? Maybe I guess clay dicks.
Clay dicks. Oh yeah. Is more clay dicks better, or
what is the best? Is it less clay? Do you want a lot of? I mean,
I suppose if you're like in ye olden times and you have a clay dick store, you want a lot of clay dicks.
right. It's hard to. What are you gonna do? Just one? You might as well take in a bunch.
Like if you're going on the Iliad or something, you got to stock up on the clay dicks.
That's true. I mean, yeah. Okay, so let's say then on like 1 to 10, 10 clay dicks is the best. 0 clay dicks, the absolute worst.
Is a very sad Argonaut. Yes.
Yeah, what would we say? You guys have made me feel a lot better about this than we started. At the beginning,
Okay.
I would have been like, this is a 1. This is a 1 clay dick.
No.
It exists, but I think I'm feeling a little better about it.
This is very much beyond this is very much beyond a 1 clay dick on all ratings.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, well, I'm trying to think.
Do you want to do appearance first?
Wow, we're gonna rate it. We can. I was going for 1 overall rating, but we can talk.
Oh, we
can talk individual qualities here.
I think appearance-wise, I give this a good 6 clay dicks.
6 clay dicks?
Oh, yeah.
Wow, that's really good. That's over 50. That's we're into the upper half.
Once again, I just like I said, you just got to Instagram model it a little bit because it does have. When you pulled it off, I believe if you rewind the tape, I said, "Ooh."
Yeah, you did. I wasn't sure if you were being polite.
No, let me ask you a question. Hold on. You coached me for like almost a year, right?
Oh, on mod, yeah.
So you know when I'm acting and when I'm not. And you know I'm not that good of an actor.
Well, you are a very good actor.
No, I'm not. I almost gasped a little bit, and if you remember, I hate gasping. I'm a little afraid of it.
Yes, I'm remembering this now.
Yeah. In fact, my gasp whenever I'm on stage is I go, ugh. I don't think you're meant to take in air. You're not supposed to take in air that quickly. It's not right. It's not good for your body. I just know it's not good for your body.
I mean, I can't disagree with you. You're right. You know, probably doing anything like that, doing anything too much is too much air is bad for you.
So you know when I'm acting because it's not natural at all. Mm-hmm. So I mean, like rewind the tape, man.
I guess we'll check. But well, okay. So 6 on appearance. Mm-hmm. I would give this. I do think the appearance is the strongest part of this. So I would say I did think the appearance when I first saw it. I was like, I think this could be okay. So I would say I would also give it a 6 on appearance.
Do you want to do a crust rating too?
Well, that's okay. Well, yeah. Well, are you just going by you're lightly poking it right now?
Yeah, I'm touching it. It's got a good crust, but the bake on the bottom is really nice. Because a bread like this that is darker, I think it's very easy to burn it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not burned. It's got a good bottom crust. So I thought you really nailed that.
No. Thank you. The bottom crust is good. This is a bread that you're able to bake on a baking stone. And I have a baking stone, but I don't have one of those paddles that basically like a pizza, whatever you call those.
Oh, yeah.
A pizza is another term for it.
Not peel.
Pizza peel or peel. I don't have one of those, so I had no way to get the risen dough onto the baking stone, which you're supposed to preheat before you toss it on there.
Can you flour a piece of parchment paper and then shake it on?
You can. Yes. I thought yes. That seemed to be, I should have considered that.
Could you put tiny wheels on the bottom of the unbaked dough and then just sort of wheel it on?
I mean, that would be interesting. It feels like if there was enough complications with the bread that maybe the wheels would have been even, I don't even know what could have happened with the wheels.
How about a drone?
A drone would have been perfect. Yeah. I ended up using a baking sheet and just which was another option, just putting it on a baking sheet, sticking it in the oven.
I give the crust, honestly, I think the crust really makes it, so I'm giving it a 7.
A 7?
Oh, yeah.
That's really crazy. I would give the crust, I'd give the crust a 5.
Did you get a shot of this bottom crust, by the way? Because it's a good crust. See, I can hear that hollowness from here.
Yeah.
Give me a thumbs up behind here. Yeah, I'm giving that a solid 7. I think.
Okay,
that's a good crust.
so 6 and 7, and then what's our last flavor? What else have we got? Taste. I gotta give I think this is not good. I'd give it it does have a taste. Mm-hmm. But in its current form, I'd have to give it a 3.
I'm going to give it, taste-wise, I'm going to give it a 5.
A 5?
Yeah, a 5. Oh, yeah.
I can't even believe it.
Well, because I think it's not the taste that you would necessarily expect, but it's savory.
That's true.
It's just a savory bread.
So we had appearance or visual, crust,
and taste.
Those 3.
So I gave it a 6, a 7, and a 5. So that's an average of a 6.
Wow. I gave it a 6, a 3 for flavor. And I gave it a 5. Mm-hmm. So that's maybe like a 4.5.
Yeah.
Average.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot higher before we started and I pulled this out, I was literally like, I'm going to cancel the Breadcast today.
I would have been so sad.
Because this was so bad. I was like, I cannot come back with the Breadcast and this bad bread.
But I think, the thing about bread that's crazy is that it ends up the same way anyway. You could have the most artisanal baked bread, but once you eat it, it ends up the same way. You know what I mean?
It's true. It does always end up the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that I give 10 clay dicks.
That's a 10 clay dick comment.
Oh yeah. So now total we didn't total up your clay dicks.
Are we doing a total? Well, we did the average.
We did the average.
So my total was 6, 5, 6, 11, 14. Mm-hmm. And yours was?
Mine was 6 plus 7, which is 13 plus 5. I'm looking at you, but
6 plus
18. So 18 clay dicks, which is enough to get you through like a Roman invasion, but not enough to get you to Zeus status.
The use of clay dicks in olden times is very interesting.
Oh yeah. But back then you could use clay dicks for anything.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like door stops.
It doesn't mean like you could use a clay dick. It reminds me of a little rolling pin.
Oh yeah.
If you're making a small little thing.
A little tiny clay dick rolling pin.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I think we've really kind of cracked this clay dick.
I think you should make more clay dicks.
Yeah,
like.
Should I go to Wix and save myclaydicks.com?
Yeah. Yeah, you should.
Okay.
Well, great. Well, 18 and whatever mine was, 14?
Math.
Wow. Well, great. Well, thanks for trying it.
Hey, thank you for having me on the Breadcast.
Well, usually at the end of the Breadcast, we do a bit called the Surprise Rise. Mm-hmm. But I have a bad news. I have no surprise. There's no Surprise Rise today. I'm not joking. This is not a Joe's Fib, which is another segment. There's no Surprise Rise today. This took up a lot of time, and I also, coming off the holiday special where we had the big surprise rise where we had Santa Claus deliver it, that was the most heightened surprise rise. And even some people commented that they were like, I don't know how he's going to top that surprise rise. And I don't know either. It was too big.
It's okay.
So I've canceled. I'm sorry to say that I've ended surprise rise. It's over.
It's a lot. Can I just pet Fiona on my way out?
You can
pet.
Though we do have, I should tell you, I do have another new segment.
Ooh.
Surprise rise is over. But we have a new segment called Surprise Pies.
What?
Surprise Pies! Yum, 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 yum.
Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, I was like, it's okay, Joe. It's fine. He literally, listener, he has disappeared. He has gone down underneath the table. I am so excited. I should have known there were forks. I should have known, but I thought he thought I was a fancy bread eater.
Yes, Surprise Pies is the new segment, and I have another baked dish for us to try.
Heck yeah.
And this is something else I hadn't tried baking before. It's been under a couch for the entire record because I wanted it to be a surprise, but no one really saw that. Anyway, so here it is. I made a fresh strawberry pie.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And there's another element to this. I gotta go get that from the fridge.
It's beautiful.
I have some fresh homemade whipped cream. If anyone wants to put a little whipped cream on it.
Heckin'
which
yeah.
the recipe does. So yeah, let's take a little. Do you guys want to try a little bit of this?
I'm so excited. I feel like I've been so quiet on this podcast because my jaw is constantly open. Like I'm just like, what? Like, this looks amazing.
I do think this turned out a little bit better than I feel a little bit better about this than I do the Pumpernickel.
Wait, before we do this, can I just say something?
Yeah.
The crust looks great.
Wow, thank you.
I appreciate the golden.
I want to talk about the crust. The crust is homemade. So yeah, this is a single crust one, so there's no top crust, and then it has strawberries with the strawberry glaze in on the top of it.
Yeah, you can tell it's like flaky just by looking at it. It looks perfect.
It does seem to get. Have you made pie crust before?
I tried once and I failed. It slumped to I'm so impressed because yours is all the way up. Mine slumped down, so it was like on the bottom, just like a cracker.
Well, here, I'm gonna cut into this.
Yeah, please do.
Serve it.
Yeah, serve it up, man.
Some good pig. So it's very gooey, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
The inside, the fruit inside is very gooey.
No, not gooey. It's just glazed.
Glazed,
Yeah, because the berries themselves have held up quite beautifully.
Those look pretty good. So this is fresh strawberry pie, and this was from another Breadcast favorite cookbook, the Better Homes and Gardens baking cookbook.
Oh.
Yes.
Can I eat this?
Yeah, dig in, please. Dave, help yourself. And I had never. This is my first time. I've made a pie crust before. I actually made this, but this is my first time making a single pie crust. The single crust pie. I'd one time attempted to make the double crust pie, and that turned out very strange. Oh.
This is perfect.
Whoa. Okay. Wow.
No, I'm not kidding.
It seems like it's pretty good. The strawberries are very red. It's very red and colorful. Looks good.
It's a hit. Truly, on all fronts, because it's not, the strawberries are fresh. You pick good strawberries. They're like very good. They're holding their like firmness, but they have a nice yield when you bite into them.
Yeah. I think I got lucky with the strawberries. I just got because this took this required 9 cups of sliced strawberries.
Oh, that's a ton.
It was a ton. I had to get I bought one big container, and I was like, I think this is going to be enough. And then I used almost a whole second container.
That's wild.
It was crazy.
Yeah, I just got strawberries today because, as I said, I really wanted to bake you something. And then, because I was going to bake something and bring this too, because I was like, that's baked. And I didn't get around to making it, so I'm glad. But I tasted one of the strawberries and they were not good, and this is good.
Oh, interesting. Well, these are just from Albertsons.
Well, hey, Albies, they're doing it right.
Albertsons, dependable.
And the crust is really good too. Just even I took a bite of it on its own. It's really good.
The crust was pretty simple. Just flour, salt, with a half cup of shortening or a quarter cup of shortening and a quarter cup of butter. So both butter and shortening.
That's good. And
you basically just kind of mix that together. You're supposed to use a food processor to break up the butter and shortening into little pea sizes. And then you gently combine that, adding a little bit of water until it becomes a dough. And then you flatten. That's when you do the whole thing where you flatten it out and you get the rolling pin out.
I mean, how much pie did I eat?
You just ate. You've cleaned your plate.
I don't eat pie.
You don't eat pie?
I don't.
Are you not a big pie person?
Because I often find pies to be overly sweetened. The fruit is goo by the time it gets to me. And I'm like, and I don't find that enjoyable. This has a wonderful texture. The crust has a great like bite, but a yield. There's a slight tang somewhere from something, maybe from the acidity of the berries. But I find this to be utterly delightful.
Oh, wow.
It's really good. I know that I was like, oh, the bread's good. I'm like, no, fuck that bread. This is good. This is really good.
I think it's very good too. And I also made the whipped cream that we've been putting on top.
Holy moly.
I've never made whipped cream before. But yeah, the crust does seem to, I feel like I got very fortunate with it because I put it in the tray. And then this is the kind of pie where once you put the pie crust in there, you then bake the pie crust in the oven without the filling in it.
A blind bake, they call that.
Is that a blind bake?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, it's in there for basically about like 16 minutes, just baking on its own. You then take it out, let it cool, and that's when you then prepare the filling. And the filling, this is one of the ones where you don't bake, the filling never gets baked. You just, chop up these strawberries, add in, I think, like some sugar, a little bit of cornstarch to make the
kind of it come together.
The goo stuff. Heat it up on the stove, mix it all, coat it, and then dump it in there, and it's done.
This is delicious.
Very simple. I just made it last night, so I think that helps. That it's like it's still kind of a pretty fresh flavor. I actually made more. I made some last night and then put it in the fridge and then got it out this morning, and I was like, I think I need more strawberries, so I made more for the filling and put more in it.
And for a pie that you made yesterday, the crust isn't soggy.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because a lot of times it would sog up, but it didn't.
Yeah, it feels like it's like really held. It's held its shape pretty well, but it's not like too hard at the bottom either.
You put your foot in this. Do y'all say that? Where you from? You put your foot in this?
No.
What'd you say?
No. What does that mean?
It means I found a little toenail. No, I'm kidding. It means it's delicious.
Ooh, good. had a lot of, you know what, this, I feel like I tried to crimp the edges, and I did a very rough job. That was very challenging to me because but
it was going to shrink up anyway.
that's true. It did shrink up. Yeah.
Yeah. So then because was it all the way out here?
It was a little bit, no, it wasn't all the way out there. It was maybe more towards the middle because I did trim. I had some parts that were long and some parts that were short. I'm talking about the crust when I put it in the dish, and I had to trim. I trimmed back a little bit on one side, and then other parts it just wasn't high enough but
Mwah.
it looks okay. I thought.
It more than looks okay. We've really dug into it right now, but like it's very appetizing. The whipped cream was a very nice touch.
Oh yeah, whipped cream. So I've never made whipped cream before. So easy to make. It's just whipping cream and a little bit of sugar and a little bit of vanilla, and then you use the mixer on it.
And once again, I think we got another second go in.
Dave is going back for seconds.
I'm with him.
This one, I wish I could eat it all.
Honestly, I'm like, no, this is really good. I should have saved more room. I'm giving this 9 out of 10 clay dicks.
Whoa, that's incredible.
This
that's
is
a full complement of clay dicks.
This is
almost.
You're gonna think that I'm overly complimenting it. I'm not. This is one of the best pies I've had in my life. What's your clay dick rating?
My clay dick rating is going to be. I'm gonna give this. And I love the 9 clay dick rating, but I think just for the visual, because the visual, I didn't quite get the crimping on the crust to make it look nice and professional. It looks a little, it does look homemade, which is nice and nice to look at too. But I would give it an 8.5 clay dicks.
Okay.
I would take down a little bit for the visual.
This is better than every piece of pie I've been forced to choke down at House of Pies.
Wow. House of Pies, where they make pies every day.
I think it is. I really do. Because their pie to me, you agree? Yeah. Their pie to me, it always tastes like it was made a couple weeks ago and they just picked up the parts that weren't good and reglazed it. Because I tried their strawberry pie because I'm like, it always seems like something I should like, but like it's not. It's not good. This is delicious.
Well, that's great. You know, compared to making the pumpernickel bread, today's Wednesday, I made the pumpernickel bread on Monday, made this on Tuesday night. I really felt like I was in my groove last night.
Yeah.
I had some music on.
Oh.
I was just kind of, taking my time, not stressing out about it, just enjoying my time, trying to be present in the kitchen and do it, and just like trying to focus on each of the crust and do it well. And I think it made a difference.
You were living that scene from Bridesmaids where she makes one cupcake for herself.
Yeah, it was like that. I think it made a difference. I think it makes a difference. Whereas the pumpernickel, maybe I felt a little stressed out about it in the middle of it. And and you can I feel like I can sense that in the final one.
Well, it's super hokey to say, but my mom, when she was teaching us how to cook, she would always say, and you guys sprinkle a little love in it.
Right.
And she would do like the little sprinkling gesture. And it was a nice way to it was like, oh, this is nice,
Yeah.
So I think you put a little love in this.
This has got a little love in it. I guess that was it's the last ingredient.
Next time you put on music, if you bake a pie, you can say groove is in the tart.
Groove is in the tarts.
I don't know that it was good enough for the emphasis, but thank you.
Diona, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for making my dreams come true. I almost said no when you asked me.
You did?
I did.
Why?
Because I enjoy listening to the Breadcast so much, and because it's a limited run, I was like, but I'm not going to be able to listen to I'm not going to get the same relaxation that I get from listening to other people.
Well, I listen to the Breadcast myself just all the time.
Yeah, no, it's not that I can't listen to me. It's that it won't. I'll be listening to myself with that critical ear,
right,
and not with the relaxation and full enjoyment that I normally listen to the Breadcast with.
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad you said yes.
I'm glad.
You've been a great guest. Is there someplace online on social media that people can find you to?
People can find me on Instagram at Diona Reasonover. Good luck spelling it. I'm not going to help you.
Well, great. Well, this has been another episode of the Breadcast. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at the Breadcast for photos and links to the recipes. Our audio engineers are Mark David Christensen and Emma Erdbrink. Our music is written and performed by Danny Cohen, and I'm your host, Joe Saunders. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Yay!
Yay!
The Breadcast, Breadcast, yum, 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 yum.